who I really enjoyed after his buff, but he's not made it. But other than that, Thing is another one, Titania another one. But let's get into the top 10 and talk about what's changed. So quite a lot has changed since December 2022. For the science class, we've seen the introductions of Jessica Jones. We've seen Spot. He was in the previous video, but we didn't know too much about him. Cassie Lang and Sandman. So there are a few new changes in here. Some of those, or both of those, Cassie Lang and Sandman, do make this list somewhere. So let's jump into the top 10. At 10, we've got Mr. Fantastic. He goes from the 6th spot in December to 10th spot in April. He is tied with Jessica Jones. Jessica Jones would be higher in my list if she was easier to get. You know, we could only get her in the banquet. She was a really strong champion. There is not many champs like her, you know, like she's similar to Misty Knight in a sense. She has that investigation. Once she reaches max investigation, she increases her combat power by 25% to 1 bar of once it gets to 1 bar of power. Constant 1 bars of power allow you to put on different debuffs. Once those different debuffs are on, then she's able to throw at SB2, which does a ton of damage. A really, really cool way of fighting Jessica Jones, and I think she definitely would be 10 on her own if she was accessible, and she probably would be 8th, 7th in this list if more people were able to play with her. But unfortunately, we've not seen too much of her, so she remains at 10. She is tied again, as I said, with Mr. Fantastic. Mr. Fantastic has some nice pre-fights. That's definitely one thing. He does have a nice crossfight as well. But I just think he's a little bit... I think these other champs just trump him just that little bit. I think he has failed quite a lot, but we have seen the introduction of Cassie Lang, who is a very strong champ, could be top 4, top 5 in this list if I was able to give a complete opinion on her. I haven't played with her yet, so obviously that is a little bit of a letdown. Again, Sandman, new, looks pretty strong. Is he better than Mr. Fantastic? I would probably, at this point, say they're very close. Because I don't know too much about Sandman, but he does look good already. I do think that he could trump Mr. Fantastic. So Mr. Fantastic does end at number 10, unfortunately. At number 9, this is where we have got Sandman, one of the new champs this month. He's come out. The if you go and watch Karate Mike's breakdown of Sandman, he looks like he does look really, really good. The sort of introduction of Sandman in the Marvel Contest of Champions channel. Karate Mike obviously does that commentary. That's where I've got the mix up there. The build-up of his resistant ups to then become unstable. The damage that he does when he is unstable is really, really cool. Decelerates on there. And physical vulnerabilities mean you can sort of stack those with your heavy attacks, keeping them paused while they're rooted to do so much damage. I also think we've been waiting for Sandman for a long, long time. You know, Sandman's not come in this game for a very long time, and now we've got him. It's nice to see him in here, and I think he looks really cool. So Sandman comes in at 9. I probably do need to find out a bit more about him, but obviously he's not in the basics, I don't think, for quite a while, really. I don't think he'll be in the basics until September, maybe even early October, which by then we'll have 7 stars. So he is something that we need to wait and see. We need to wait and see about when he's in the featured, see how good he performs there, see what people think of him, and maybe revisit this once that video or those people have him, or even I've got him then. At 8, I've gone with Spot. I feel like Spot could be higher, but I don't know, because as a defender, he's very good. Quite difficult to face with the Untouchables. Even if you've got a miss counter, he still puts Ruptures on you, which is very weird. It basically makes it impossible to impossible to counter him. He has the damage that he can do from his SP2, you know, 1 SP1. If you watch another Karate Mike video that's come out recently with the damage he's able to do on SP2 with a different rotation, makes him really, really cool. I think his pre-fight is very, very useful. It's able to sort of just... I think it just makes it a little bit easier to put a buff immunity debuff on the opponent. It just makes it, you know, that little bit easier. The portal block makes him really cool. The untouchable, again, if they're hitting into your portal block, can build up those untouchables, or spots, I should say, to make him go untouchable. So I think Spot is a very strong champ. The damage that he does with those ruptures on there, as the thing with ruptures, there's only Scorpion who's immune to them so far. So a very decent damage and debuff to have. And I think if you go back and watch that Karate Mike video, you might think he could be higher. I'm not sure. I've got a champ who's fell from last month's video, but just one spot above him. And that's going to be iBomb. So iBomb was previously 4th or 5th in my list, sorry. And he has now fell to 7. I think mainly this is from my new love for Overseer. I think Overseer is poison immune. Although Abomination does put poisons on, and nobody in this game is immune to Acid Burn from his SP3. If you're fighting against a poison immune champ, it does make it harder to get that acid burn. I also think the petrifies are very useful in reducing regeneration and power. I think he's very strong in that sense. He's basically poison immune himself, because as he takes 50% less, or takes 100% less damage. But this can still sort of stack up if they're sort of stronger than 100%, if that makes sense. So I think iBomb is one of those champs who is very good, very, very strong, a little bit underrated. Like I saw in my last video, people say that he's not that good and that he's I'm overrating him. But I do really think he's a strong champ. I just think that Overseer has just clipped him, and somebody had to fall out of the top 5 for Overseer to slip in, and it was iBomb. And then above iBomb, I have gone Cassie Lang to take the 6th spot before the 5th, the top 5 begins. Cassie Lang for me is a champ who could very, very easily make the top 5. You know, she is a really, really well-created champion. While holding, it's very similar to Tigra, with while holding your heavy or charging it, you're able to miss, and then that allows you to build up power stings. Those power stings are more sort of accessible, they're easier to get, and they do a lot more sort of guaranteed direct damage. The poisons that she puts on are very, very nice as well. The fact that she's got that Pim Fuel in her, you know, where if you run out of that Pim Fuel, she is then stunned, does make it sort of fun to play. You know, you've got to get used to her, but once you get used to her, as a lot of like Legacy and Karate Mike and YouTubers like that have said, you do get used to it. And I think that's sort of the main aspect, is once you get used to her, she's very easy to play. She looks very strong. She has quite a nice few synergies, especially with Ant-Man. But then it also has a nice one at the top there with Toad. So yeah, she makes my top 6. I would need, again, like Sandman, I feel like if I played her, if I was able to play her and watch more videos on her, I could probably list her in the top 5 for sure. But I just need to see her in action a bit more. And yeah, she comes in at 6. At 5 is Overseer. This is who replaces iBomb. Overseer is the best new 7-star champ in the pool that has been released. He is very, very good. You know, I pulled him and never used him. And then all of a sudden I got him awakened and I thought, I'll give him a go. But his awakened ability isn't even that essential. You do some direct damage if you are hit with anything he's immune to, so poisons or stuns if he's in auto block mode. He is immune to Nullify, Fate Seal, and Stagger, so he's immune to a lot of the Mystic champs options. So obviously if they're putting one of those on you, you also do some retaliation for that. The build up of his I can't think what it's called, the Gamma Power, you get to 6 Gamma Powers, then throw your SP3 or SP2 for Cosmic Mode. that is then paused while you throw special attacks or your opponent throws special attacks. So you want to get those heavies on to put the taunts on, and he can just do an absolute ton of physical vulnerability damage. You know, you'll see little red numbers in there like 10, 15k, and he just shreds through opponents. He's been by far the best dual threat Battlegrounds champ this season, season 6. He'll be very good for season 7. I think he's somebody who's one of the strongest dual threats. The fact that he can shred in seconds is amazing, and I like the fact that he's got that immunity to those Mystic defenders, but also to poison. So Overseer comes in at 5. I think if you've got him, you try him out, get him to those 6 Gamma powers, then throw your SP2 and just try and do as many SP1s as possible, keeping that up while stunned, and you'll see how good the Overseer really is. At 4, Spidey 2099. I know it's funny to have a champ at 5 fully maxed out, or as maxed out as I can get him currently, and then a champ at 4 who is not. But that's just because Overseer was already ranked up, but I also enjoy playing him a little bit more. And I don't know too much how the playstyle of Spider-Man 2099, but I know how good he really is. The ruptures, then the rupture burst damage, the fact that he's got no buffs and his withers are so strong. Like, I like Quicksilver because he has the withers on him as well as sort of the whiplash damage, means you can sort of limit power. But Spider-Man 2099's withers are stronger than that. You know, I think I've probably ranked him at 4 because I don't use him too much. And I have got these 2 champs, Quicksilver and the Overseer, are already ranked up. So I don't want to take a 3rd Science champ out when I've already got iBomb up there too. But I think if I used him more, they are very different. I probably could do with Spidey 2099 ranked up. I might even do it for Act 8.2 if there are a few nodes that I need to have him ranked up for. But I think as a defender, he's not too tricky. But as an attacker, he is very, very strong. One of the few champs who is buff immune. So, you know, he's not going to get any buffs. Makes it very difficult to for like Buffet or Masochism and nodes like that. So he is very, very useful in that sense. And yeah, that's why he pops in at number 4. At 3, the Quicksilver. If it's up to me, you know, I don't really use Human Torch that much. I think he's very good in Battlegrounds, but he's probably, you know, I'd only use him for that. And Scorpion I've not really used. Quicksilver would be my number 1, but I know how good Human Torch is in Battlegrounds, and I know how good Scorpion is supposed to be throughout the game. So Quicksilver comes in at number 3. I think now I've got his Awakened ability. It's really, really cool. The withers, you're able to put more on. You can basically limit any power gains. Hyperion, he's a good counter for. He's a good counter for Dragon Man, Mango, the slow and miss counter he gets from 300 speed charges or momentum charges. At 600, he can block non-contact hits. At terminal velocity, you could double the whiplashes you've got from your SP2, meaning you can do a ton of damage. The trauma on his SP2, being able to do about 250, 300k direct damage is very, very useful. I think it's really, really unique, and I love his sort of playstyle a lot. He's one of the funner champs to use, and it's sort of why he's probably going to be my next rank 4. I very much enjoy using him, and I find him an absolute blast to use. And then as a defender, if you put him down in Battlegrounds, he can be quite useful. So yeah, Quicksilver comes in at 3, and obviously you guys know the top 2. At 2, we've got Human Torch, and at 1, we've got Scorpion. So Human Torch comes in at 2. This is just, you know, I would have put Quicksilver above him, but obviously, like I said, I know how good his pre-fight is. You know, you go into a Battlegrounds fight, you put his pre-fight on. The Nova Flames just tear that opponent down instantly. No one is immune to Nova Flames, even if you're Incinerate immune. He's also got Incinerate, Cold Snap, and Frostbite immunity, which is very to have all 3 of them is quite unique. Not many people do. I think the fact that the only issue with him is you can only use his pre-fight once, I believe, in a quest, which is a shame. However, you are able to obviously then put him into get those Nova Flames up and put him into what's it called? Let me have a quick look. Anyway, he just goes into flame on mode. That's the one. He goes into flame on and is able to put those Nova Flames on, even if you've not got the pre-fight. So he is very useful. And like I said, he's one of the strongest Battlegrounds champs, like Apocalypse and Gallon. For me, that warrants a lot. If you don't have somebody who's Incinerate immune, he can be an annoying defender because he's doing that damage as well. Some tricky dexing on his SP1 and 2 makes him a little bit more tricky to fight against. And it's why he ends up at number 2, you know. There's not too much to say about Human Torch. We all know how good he is, how good those Nova Flames are. So he comes in at 2. And at 1 is a champ that lots of people are now talking about. Lots of people know how good he is, and that's Scorpion. I think Scorpion's first of all, he looks amazing. I really do think that Scorpion looks very, very cool. I think he's got, first of all, he's one of the only champs who's immune to Rupture, which is in itself is very, very, very unique. I think it's one of those abilities that it's not gone under the radar, but as I said, he's the only one in the whole game who's immune to it so far. Rintrah puts those Ruptures on, Spot puts Ruptures on, Tigra. It just makes him very easy to go in against those champs. He's also poison immune. I believe he could also be shock immune. I don't know that for sure though. The sort of Scorpion sense where he evades and does damage to you, the poisons that he can put on, the regen when he's awakened is very, very useful with a Petrify on. I think that's something again that goes a little bit under the radar with Scorpion. The fact that you're able to take all that damage. The damage that you may have accidentally taken throughout the fight back going into quests means he's very, very strong. And I just think he's one of the best champs in the game, if not, top 4, top 5 easily. Best champs in the game. I think I want to get him a bit more to sort of play him out and really enjoy him and see what he's like. But yeah, I've not quite got him yet. So that's going to do it for the list. Hopefully you've enjoyed this top 10 Science Champs video. You've seen where everyone's placed. If you disagree with any placings, let me know in the comments below. If you think Human Torch maybe isn't at number 2 and he should be at 5 and the Overseer Spidey and Quicksilver should drop down, or you think Human Torch is the best, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to have that conversation with you guys. And I'll see you in tomorrow's tech top 10 video. I'll see you in that video. Goodbye.